みんなあるとマイクみたいになりたい。でも電話してくれない。オークランドとブックレンドから世界チャンピオンバーチャルプローズ始まるよ。バーチャルプローズ。
To my motherfucking man, 50 grand, the alcoholic man, inject a tall can in his bloodstream if he can. Biggie Smalls, the 50 stroker, MC provoker, chocolate tie smoker, huh? I like to max and Maximas and Acuras. Your girl butt cheeks, I'm smacking, huh? The raw rapper, spine snapper, with the little cause on my lap. A shot, the ball, I ain't your fucking comforter. And if I ever fall in love, I bet I'm fucking her.
Episode 51 of that World Champion Sound Virtual Pros podcast. My name is Al, aka Henny Omega, aka the Bandman, aka Bougie Nagata, aka Two Phone Scorpio, aka Super Brazy, aka Noam Bars, and with me, one half of the Holy Scheming Army, one half of Lemolition, one half of the Heavenly Thotties, my main oos, Mike.
Hey, what's up, incels? It's Mike, a.k.a. Wavy Boy Smith, a.k.a. Tim Tam Bigelow, a.k.a. Kilo Santana, a.k.a. Ambien Zandow.
Today's topic, wrestlers we've done 180's on. Listen to who we've pivoted on in the world of sports entertainment. If you want to contact us or email us, please do so at virtualpros64@gmail.com. And if you haven't already, hit us on Instagram and Twitter at VRTLPros. Hit us on iTunes, leave a review. Hit us on SoundCloud, hit that heart, you know I like it. And if you haven't already, it's October, it's spooky. Download that Bloody Disgusting app, have that entire 51-ep discography in the palm of your hands. Mike, we got some emails. You mind starting off with one of them?
Sure, the first one is from my old friend Doan, aka the producer from old Kissing Contest.
What up, Doan?
The subject is also one-time guest host of this show. Forgot about that. The subject is Finish Him. It says, hey, Virtual Bros. First time, long time. It's Saturday night. You're wavy and you get into a street fight. Mano y mano. No holds barred. There are kendo sticks, metal trash cans, and steel steps strewn about. Somehow, some way, you get your opponent staggering, got his eyes glazed over, and it pops into your mind, I'm going to finish this fool. What finisher do you do? Follow up, both Al and Mike are out on a Saturday night, wavy, get into a street fight and get their opponents on the ropes. What tag team finisher do you do? Keep up the good work, Kissing Contest forever. Doan, aka the Orient Express. It's probably a corny one, but I think if I were to think about doing an actual wrestling finisher to somebody, it would probably be the Stone Cold Stunner would be number one, just obviously because it's like the most obvious one. If there was all these weapons strewn about, I would assume there's also steel chairs strewn about too. So I'd also maybe go for an Arabian facebuster.
For me, finisher's not that appealing. Like, if I had this dude fucked up, you know, it'd be funny. If I just, like, big swung him like Hiroshi Hase, that'd be hilarious. Like, one, like, you're making him dizzy. Two, it's pretty shameful that he's, like, getting swung about. I don't know. My second one, probably that Manabi Toyota, like, pin where, like, she rolls around with their opponent. I don't know. That'd be really funny. I'm all about shame, as you guys can tell on the Instagram.
Man, I would love to see somebody do a giant swing.
That's what I'm saying. Be hilarious.
It'd be the most amazing thing ever.
Tag team finisher? I don't know, Mike. I gotta go with Doomsday Device if, like, someone was, like, really talking some shit about us.
Damn it. I was hoping you would say this, have the same answer as me, which is Total Elimination. That has always been my favorite two tag team finisher. Even though, you know what, it's kind of corny. It's just two kicks, but whatever.
If you had to pick, would you sweep or are you going for the head?
I think I would do the sweep. I think I would be more comfortable doing the sweep.
Next email is from Chuck. What's up, Chuck? First time, long time, gentlemen. Had a random question after watching NXT just now. What are your thoughts on the iconic duo? They're clearly playing a subtext that they're a couple, right? If so, is Paul woke enough to be okay with it, or has he just not caught on? And how quick until Vince shuts it down? Like, he shuts down the hand-holding and stuff once they get to the main roster. Keep killing the game, get money and such. Chuck, a.k.a. Brian Pillsman, a.k.a. Four Loco Beware, a.k.a. Party Janetti. Maybe I'm watching NXT wrong, but I never thought that these two were lesbians. I don't know. I know like a lot of women in my life that are pretty excitable, and I just kind of thought they were like that. They were just kind of just really excited to hang out with each other and like talk shit about people. I never thought that they loved each other.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think NXT back in the day, like probably around the Hulu times, maybe when it just got picked up on the network, I feel like there was a lot of tag teams with a lot of homoerotic undertones to them. Mainly Chad Gable and Jason Jordan, which kind of started out as like a homosexual stalker angle. So I don't put it past them, but yeah, I don't get that vibe from them. I do admire both of their athleticism a lot, though.
Yes,
so
Peyton Royce is very athletic. Very, very athletic.
Yeah. Next one. Wait, is there a different of interest? Oh, yeah, okay. Next up is from Dane. It's titled Your First Heckle. What's up, dudes? It's Dane. Figured I'd try to email more frequently. What's up with Al shaming Summer by not wearing the Summer Shame shirt before Summer's end? We'll get to that in the two-man scramble, I'm sure. Anyhow, to the point, what was your first heckle? Mine was at a SmackDown taping at the Joe Louis Arena during what I assume was a tryout match. I yelled, "Don't quit your day job," and what the internet says, popped the crowd around me. The wrestlers on the apron looked up at me, and I felt awesome as an 8 or 9-year-old, and the rest is history. Keep up the great work, Dane, aka Big Papa Lump in my pants. That's gross. AKA Disco Urinaho. That works sorta. And AKA Suck at These. It's yes. Do you have any good heckles?
You know what? I'm not really heckling because I'm usually sitting very, very far away from the ring. But recently, I went to NXT and I sat front row, and I yelled at Killian. I was very drunk, by the way. Nice panties, and the crowd erupted. But I'm not really a heckler. How about you, Mike?
You don't remember your first one, then?
I mean, I'm not out here at 9 fucking just busting people's balls and shit. It just wasn't me.
Yeah, I was trying to think about that. Like, I don't think I ever spoke up to any wrestlers when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
It's mostly being scared, I think. Yeah, I think the only story I have to save this is, I think when I used to go to shows, me and my friends used to heckle a lot. And I remember being at a show in Buffalo, in a basement in Buffalo. And, my friend's band was like a political hardcore band. So they had a lot of PC fans. And for whatever reason, I don't remember why. I think we just thought it was funny that death metal band said it, but we took to saying "come on, you fucking pussies" to each other, like during each other's sets. And we were like egging on the singer of this band to say it, and he finally said it. He said, "Come on, you fucking pussies," and we're all like, "Yes," he said it out loud. And I remember after they were done, this woman coming up to him, a teen woman, not like an adult woman, and lecturing him on how he shouldn't say pussies in front of all these people. And I just remember like looking at him and knowing he just felt so awkward about this. But yeah, so sometimes heckling can get you in trouble. That has nothing to do with this, but I tried to think of a funny story. Next up, oh no, it's you.
Yeah, next up is from RTF FTW. What up, Pat? Title whoop whoop. As always, what's up, homies? With the announcement that War Games is coming back for NXT, is there a certain type of match or pay-per-view you'd like to come back? I'd love for the Doomsday Cage match to come back. While most people would argue that it was horrible, I think the alliance between the greatest stable in WCW history, the Dungeon of Doom, and 4 Horsemen was brilliant. I couldn't think of a better squad to put an end to Hulkamania. A close second would be the Thunderdome match, but only if it lit on fire again and they brought Muda in to mist it out. Anyway, stay wicked. Shot Glass, aka Tinder Mahal. I'm not really clamoring for like a certain type of match to come back, but I mean, 'tis the season. I want Halloween Havoc to come back. I love the set design like back in the day. I mean, they don't really do shit like in October. I guess No Mercy's kind of a thing. Wait, No Mercy was that last month? Either way, if it's October, just bring back Halloween Havoc. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I don't know why they don't do that or have really any Halloween theme thing, but for me it's always going to be the same thing. I think I've said it on the show before. It's the Lethal Lottery from WCW where they randomly pick tag tems. It would be corny if WWE did it now. Although if they did it with WWE and NXT guys, it would probably be kind of cool, yeah. But it was just back then, like I watched WCW, but they had like 9 million wrestlers and all these weird jobbers, and they were like pairing like normal guys up with these weirdos, and it was really interesting to me. And it ended in a double ring battle royal, which is also awesome. So they'll never bring this back, but Next up is from DC. Oh, no, he just sent us the documentary that we put on the mixtape, so...
Did you watch it or no?
No, I keep meaning to. I'll probably get around to it before the end of the week. I was gonna try and watch it today, but I couldn't. The next up is from Seagulls. It's kicking out at 1 is the subject. He says, "Hey, Mike and Al, I was wondering how you guys feel in general about the big kick out at 1 spot that seems to be popping right now. Remember when Big Rome took the buckle bomb from Seth and immediately came back with a fighting spirit-esque Superman punch? It was kind of old news in the wrestling world at large, but it was modern and fresh for WWE. Brock kicking out at 1 from a Rome Spear at Mania, for example, would probably get a crazy reaction. Stave Vrtl, Seagulls, a.k.a. the Cottonmouth King of Strong Style, a.k.a. Ty Diller Sign, a.k.a. Oni Lortab. I would put the kicking out at 1 thing only, as far as like weird pins go, only to when like a big guy gets pinned and they like power lift the guy over their heads and he like flies into the ref or whatever. Yeah. I think that's the absolute coolest spin, but I think when they kick out at 1, it's also pretty badass. I also, of course, like the cocky pin from the Aki games, but yeah, so I am very pro kick out at 1.
Yeah, I love it, and I like it when it's done like in the right spots. So like when I see a kick out at 1, it's because the person that's kicking out is like saying, "Fuck you, I took your best shot," or like they got so fucked up that like they're just delusional. So I kind of enjoy it, but it has to be like at the right time. But if it's done right, I'm into it. I love it. Next email is from Eric, titled Drunk Tanaka. Sup, virtual bros. I went to my local indie promotion a few weeks back, and Pat Tanaka was the special guest of the weekend. On the very first night, he stumbled out to the Orient Express music, then proceeded to cut a very slurred promo. He also delivered some of the most terrifying chops I've ever heard, and then just bailed out on day 2. He was clearly shit-faced, and it made for an all-around great time. What's the worst experience you guys have had with the old wrestler? P.S. Al, I know you love this. Eric, aka Ricky Fuji Jr. He links me to the Roppongi 3K music video. Eric, I don't love that, actually. Shit sucks. I don't have any, like, bad stories about old timers in the biz. So I have nothing to add here. I'm sorry, Eric. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I've heard other people's stories, like running these old weird wrestlers and them being weirdos or hustlers to them. The only like old wrestler story that I have is interesting is that I went to, a real like low budget wrestling in my hometown right before I moved to the city, actually. And it was in some like senior center or some shit. And, Ox Baker was there. He was not wrestling. He was just for some reason there. And he was, selling shirts and like 8x10s and stuff. And Ox Baker is probably my favorite old wrestler that I'm actually too young to like actually remember Ox Baker wrestling, but I just always thought he like looked cool. And he's the inventor of the heart punch, which is when I was little, one of my favorite stupid finishers. So like I got to shake his hand and buy a shirt from him, and that was cool. And then when like I sat down, and the actual wrestling started, I noticed he was like, I don't know if he was drunk or if this is just like normal Ox Baker when he was alive. But he started like, he was heckling the wrestling and he's like heckling people. And I'm just like, this is fucked up. He's a wrestler. But the best part was, for whatever reason, the announcer was like, "Oh, we have a local celebrity in the audience." And it was like some weather person, like a weatherman or something. And so, the guy was like, "Oh, it's, John Smith, weatherman for blah, blah, blah." And Ox Baker just goes, "Who cares?" And it was definitely the best part of that wrestling. I don't know if he was drunk or if he's just like that, but, it seemed very rude for guys selling his stuff to just heckle other quote unquote workers there.
I might be able to save this. I never told this story, but a couple months ago, I helped friend of the show, Joel to Sleep, sell his wares at an APW show in Daly City. And I was behind the tables like probably the entire night. And at the end, I don't know who it was, but he was an old timer. And he made it a point to shake my hand because that's what you do in the biz. If you're a brother and you're selling your wares, like, mind you, I'm a fucking 30-year-old something, just like selling t-shirts. And, this guy made it a point to shake my hand. And right then and there, I knew I was a brother. That's not the worst experience, but I knew like, wow, someone really thought like I'm really about that life when I really wasn't. You got the last one.
Yeah, last one is from Al's main oos.
What up,
from
Mike?
Yeah, this is Stickman is the subject. It says, "Sup pros. Quick question. I'm sure a lot of wrestlers pull a good amount of ladies on the road, but who do you think is the greatest of all time stickman? I guess the obvious answer would be Flair, but I'd have to give it to my man Juice Robinson. He solidified himself as a true coxman with his 'I'm gonna bury myself in some Japanese pussy' line. Thanks, Mike, aka Benzo Ayamore, aka Promethazine Dream, aka Wagyu Iwatami." Fuck, I don't know, man. I think it would have to be, it would probably have to be somebody we would never guess, because it would have to be.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because it would have to be like pre-late 80s, because that's when AIDS came up. So I think like anybody in like the 70s or 80s where like sex was just free, or 70s or early 80s where like sex was just free and people were just having sex all the time.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like one of those, like, I'm sure like Jerry Lawler got his fair share back then. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know a lot of old wrestlers, so I couldn't say, but I would imagine it's somebody's from like that late 70s era.
All right, so this term was popularized by Michael Rappaport, and one of the rules of being a stickman is to never brag about it. I know listener of the show, Stash Pages, he let me know that in the Bret Hart auto bio, he was talking about just getting it all around the world. And I believe him, but it's kind of like lying on your dick. It's like, not really, but it's still kind of lame to talk about it. So my theory was, like yours, where it has to be someone that's like, it's someone low-key and someone you never expect. So my guess is like Paul Roma. Or like fucking like Rick Martel, like probably was just like doing numbers on the board.
Yeah.
Like those are my two guesses. Like Strike Force.
I would just imagine somebody who traveled a lot too. Like I guess WWF wrestlers travel a lot, but they're only there for like a day though.
Right.
I would imagine like those dudes are like posted up in territories for like a couple months. They're just like slaying and then like moving for a couple months and just slaying all over again, just like an endless cycle. So I don't know. It's tough.
Shout out to Paul Roma, man. I think it's you, dude.
Okay, that's it for the emails.
So I got some topics for the two-man scramble, Mike. First off, I'm going to lead off with a shout out to listener Nitsuwa, or as the Japanese commentator might say it, Nitsuwa, for being such a friend of the show. I can't go into details, but he really hooked us up. So maybe, Nitsuwa, you can be our first sponsored athlete of Virtual Pros or something. We'll talk offline about it, but thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Also a friend of the show and future PWI 500 entrant, Tigre Hoven. He tweeted us an incredible question, about what wrestlers would make the best skateboarders. He mentioned Dean Ambrose and how he'd be a natural fit because of the CCS looking jeans that he wears on a daily basis, but who do you think would be the best wrestler turned skateboarder?
I'm sure TJ Perkins would try really hard. I'd put him up there. Fuck. I think Dean Ambrose is a little too big. It'd have to be like a smaller wrestler. Fuck. Yeah, I don't know. I'm drawing a blank, man. I don't know who would be a good wrestling skateboarder.
So like skateboarding and like breakdancing the same, where like to me, where if you're like a lanky person with like really long limbs, it looks incredible when you do either or. He's not lanky, but I think Katsuyori Shibata would make a great looking skateboarder. I bet he skates a really clean line. He's pretty durable. You can take a good bail. I bet he skates clean lines, like I said. He wears Supreme. I don't know. He's built for it.
Zack Sabre Jr. would fit that bill too. He'd probably be a good skateboarder too.
He'd be like a Rodney Mullen type guy. I can see it.
Yeah. Very technical skateboarder.
Very technical skateboarder. Next up, Mike, if you were given the pencil at Stanford, would you rather write for a 105 or a 305 live?
105? Do you mean 205?
No, 105 or 305. You had to pick.
Well, 105 would be little kids, which would be pretty fucking amazing. And I guess it could be little kids. Yeah, I guess 105 live could be little kids and women. It'd still be fucking small ass women though. I think I would go for man. It would be cool to like write in little kids doing hardcore matches, but I think 305 would be more of my lane because I usually have fat guys in mind when I'm like thinking of like weird gimmicks, and I probably have way more weird fat guy gimmicks than I have weird little kid gimmicks.
Man, so like this was just such a throwaway question, but I thought about it a lot at work today. Where like, man, I like coasting at work, so 305 Live would be the much easier show to write for.
Yeah.
But if I had the writing chops, 105 Live would be the better show.
Would you use little kids?
See, that's what I'm saying. You got to use like 15-year-olds, or you got to use Carrie Sane. I don't know. You got to plot.
You think she's 105? You think she's really? Man, 105 is fucking light, man. That's super light. You can use those little tiny boxers too.
Exactly, it'd be hilarious.
Yeah. Paperweights, I think they were flyweights are the smallest thing.
Next up, Hell in a Cell. Your overall thoughts?
I did not watch. No, I only watched the Usos match, and then I watched the Shane KO match. I didn't watch any of the rest of it. So those matches were good. I thought the Shane McMahon match was way too fucking long. I think that dude really needs to not wrestle anymore. Like, I get it. He jumps off high shit. It's cool. But his punches look real dumb. Like, everything else he does outside jumping off high shit or doing the Van Daminator looks terrible. And he just needs to stop wrestling. He should not be like a 50-year-old man that's not a real wrestler in like a half an hour match with an actual wrestler. It's just stupid. I thought the Usos, New Day match was really good. I don't know. I think everybody pumped it up too much before I watched it, or I was like expecting it to just be like this mind-blowing match, and I thought it was pretty good, but yeah. I also don't really like cage matches where they don't do anything except like maybe bump into the cage every once in a while. I did like when they locked the one Uso up with all the kendo sticks.
Yes.
I was like, that's fucking cool as hell. But then he just like escaped and it wasn't even on camera. He just like showed up, escaped, and I was real bummed out about that.
Yeah, I thought the Usos New Day brawl was really well done, but yeah, like you, I watched it after, people were talking about it, and people were gassing this match up, and so I kind of heard it from my point of view, but I thought it was a really fun brawl. Oh, the main event, although long, man, I watched that entire match, like, with sweaty palms. Like, the way they shot that entire match, like, I have kind of like a fear of heights, and, they really took full advantage of that shit by shooting, like, a lot of that stuff really low. Oh, man. I liked it a lot. I don't think it beats out Angle Shane from King of the Ring 2001, maybe. But, it was pretty close, man. Related, as an aside, a lot of "We Want Tables" chants during this show while people were just like fucking themselves up in the cage. Like, this has to be shooting up the power rankings when it comes to the worst chants, right? Am I wrong?
I that's kind of like resurrected though. I don't think people do that outside of WWE for one. I guess they probably do it outside of WWE, but yeah, I don't think it's, I think it was way bigger in the early 2000s, but, it is annoying, especially when you're killing yourself as it is, but, I don't know. Maybe in the future it'll be a bigger chant. I don't know.
Last up, for all the Summer Shame truthers out there that were still mad about the photo that I took or had theories about it, let us know how we should structure these bets from now on. This free entertainment that we're giving you. Email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com, and I'll be sure to promptly trash it. Let me know. That's all I had.
Okay. Well, since you're talking about it, let's segue into this. So where did you end up wearing your Ask Me About Women's Wrestling shirt?
Listen, I was never not going to wear that shirt. I was going to do it. I don't welch on a bet. The thing is that I think I said on the episode I was going to wear it to brunch, and then those plans just fell through that weekend, and I was like, okay, maybe next time. And then there was kind of like a little build up where people were like, he's not going to wear it. He's not going to wear it. And I was like, let's play this up a little bit. And it went on for, I think, a month. And then I figured, like, let's wear it in Oakland where it'll be pretty busy. And so I wore it on First Friday. First Friday in Oakland is when a lot of, like, I guess New Yorkers would call bridge and tunnel kids come out and, like, celebrate free art. And so I walked about 15 blocks wearing that shirt. It was awful. The worst part of it was no one was there with me to take that picture, right? So I had to put my phone down.
Oh, I'm sorry. Something happened in the game.
I'm like way ahead of you, man. Oh my God, Cleveland, I'm sorry. Anyway, I had to put that phone down against my backpack, take a selfie, stand there It didn't come out right the first time. I had to do it again. Cars were passing me by. Listen, if you guys don't think I felt true shame, fuck you. It really happened. The end.
But no one talked to you though.
I got a lot of like quizzical looks where they were just like, well, do I ask him? And, no one talked to me about it, but people saw it and, it wasn't very fun.
Yeah, I was, when I saw that picture, I was at the bar with my lady friend and I showed her the picture. I was like, he finally wore it. And she was like, see, that shirt looks nice. Like, I would think he was really cool. Like, she doesn't know anything about wrestling. And she was like, I would think he was really cool. Like, if I saw him wearing that shirt. And then I was like, hold on a second. And I showed her pictures of, I'll just say, other people that wear that shirt. And I was like, do you think this guy is cool? And she's like, no, he just looks like a creep. And I was like, well, there you go. Like, I was like, it's a shirt that creeps wear. And I was like, well, I guess if you put it that way, I understand then. But yeah.
Mike's lady friend, I didn't get any looks where people thought I was cool. Trust me.
Also, I assumed you had this in yours, so I didn't bring it up. I have a bunch, but they're all kind of short ones. But, since you didn't bring it up, did you watch the Roppongi 3K video or what?
Yeah, Rocky Romero, he stepped his bars up, but I mean, that's not saying a whole lot. I like the tag team, but that video, I've been to Roppongi. Roppongi's wildly trash. I hate that place. It's where like a lot of like British dudes and like expats go to like talk to Japanese girls. And I'm just like, dude, you can do this anywhere. Why come here? Like, I hate that place. Anyway, that video's whatever. I'm not a fan of the song. I mean, do you think, I think it's better than the old song, but
really?
I mean,
You do?
It's not a good song. I mean, Roppongi Vice, come on, dog. That song sucks. This song sucks too, but not as much.
Man, I disagree. I think this song is infinitely worse. I also like Rocky Romero, dude, like buy a new microphone, man. Like, I don't know what he uses to record his vocals, but it sounds horrible. Like, I think he just uses the laptop mic. And it's like, dude, if you're gonna make a fucking song that's gonna be used as a goddamn ring entrance, at least spend $50 on a microphone. It's not that expensive, man. Like, he probably makes a good amount of money. And that's like my biggest gripe with all his songs. Like, just buy a new microphone. Okay, I'll lead into this. So last week we talked about podcasts that we listen to, and I forgot to mention one of them that I listened to, which is Marty and Sarah Love Wrestling. I love that podcast. And, if you guys don't listen to that podcast, they do like impressions of wrestlers and they do impressions of like other nerd wrestling podcasters and stuff like that. And, Thrift Store Jobber, the old Thrift Store Jobber, who also hooked me up with a UWF shirt for my birthday, a Herb Abrams UWF shirt. I was hanging out with them last Friday. And I was like, yo, get Sarah Shockey to call me as Charlotte and leave me a birthday message. And she did it. So shout out to Thrift Store Jobber and Sarah and Marty from that podcast, because that made my night. But I bring it up mostly because I heard a couple episodes ago they said this on there, and I'm only crediting them because I couldn't find any more facts on this if it's true. But supposedly the Young Bucks tweeted at some point that since they started selling shirts at Hot Topic, they have sold 100,000 Bullet Club shirts, which is over like, a few months. And that just seems unfathomable to me. That is an insane amount of shirts to sell from Hot Topic. Do you think this is true? Do you think they could really sell 100,000 that quick?
No fucking way. 100K?
Yeah.
Like, you think like 100,000 people? There's no way. I can't see any way that could happen. How much are they selling those shirts for? 25?
Yeah.
$30? I don't know.
No, yeah, they're like 20.
You're telling me they fucking made 2.5 milli? There's no way. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, and like, it's just
maybe 10,000.
It brings up other things. Like, I assumed when people bought Bullet Club shirts, they just wore that one until it fell off and they didn't like buy any more. But because I mean, they have like 4 or 5 different designs there. Maybe they even have even more. Maybe they even have 8. But even if like, however many divided by 8, 100,000 divided by 8, like somebody was like, everybody's just buying all 8 shirts. That seems ridiculous. Like, if you told me WWE as a whole sold 100,000 shirts in a few months, I'd be like, that seems still pretty high. So I don't know. Like, that just seems like a ridiculous amount. So I don't believe it. I'm glad that you don't either.
100. I'm trying to wrap my head around that. I don't know. Maybe we're not into wallet checking, but like to sell 100K in a matter of months, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Hot Topic's definitely taking a big chunk of that money too, but still. Let's see what's next. Oh, this is another interesting fact that I learned. Matthew from Botchamania tweeted out a couple days ago. We reviewed a match a few episodes ago on this podcast from a promotion called WXW. And I think our main gripe with the match was they use a real shitty ring that's like real tiny and squishy looking. And he tweeted out the reason they use that ring is because I guess you're not allowed to drive trucks in Germany on Sunday. So they can only use like a ring that they could fit in a couple vans. And that just seems like a real weird rule. and I don't know, like I'd still think there has to be another way they can do this because it's just like, I don't know, but I found that very interesting, and it explains why they have such a squishy ring. But they should probably bring that up during every show they show. But I guess if you live in Germany, you know this.
Yeah, that ring, it looks like an unmade bed. I don't like it.
No,
figure it out.
It's horrible. Another thing I forgot to bring up last episode, and I can't believe I forgot because I was so excited about it, was the last pay-per-view before Hell in a Cell. I was watching it, whatever it was, and they, as they always do, they introduce all of the foreign announcers, and Michael Cole drops, and you could listen to WWE in all of these languages and many others on the world famous WWE network. And I was like, no, you can't. That's fucking bullshit. That's like, cause you can never do that. And so I checked it. I looked in languages and they're all listed now. So you could listen to, WWE in any language you want. So I was like, fuck, I gotta check out the Japanese commentary for this. And it is so weird watching WWE in Japanese because like honestly, any other language besides English on there, like you watch it and you just realize how much like Michael Cole and all the other idiots talk like during wrestling. Like they just talk non-fucking stop. And like the Japanese commentary is so quiet and all they do is like mention the moves and, the way it's like, the way the audio is, it's not as mic'd up as it is on the American feed for some reason. So it just sounds very somber and weird. So yeah, guys, the next WWE pay-per-view, watch at least one match in the Japanese commentary because it's very, it's also very amazing hearing them call out like all the weird named US finishers in like Japanese broken English because it's pretty great. So check that out.
How do you think Sho Funaki did like as a color commentator? You think he's good?
They're both pretty good, but they struggle when they have to say those stupid names of the moves, but no, they're pretty good. It's very interesting to watch. I am a noted doll hater. I hate wrestling. I won't say I hate wrestling dolls. There's a few here and there that I think are cool, but overall, I'm not really too into them. But somebody posted, I can't remember who it was already, posted some tiny figurines, like tiny kind of shit you would see in like blind boxes of these. I don't know if it's New Japan license. I think it is. But they're like these bridging figurines of like all of these figurines doing bridges, like wrestling bridges, and you could like stack them, and you could stack stuff on their smooth bellies, and you could do all this stuff. And I was like, man, I want a whole case of these. So does that make me more of a weirdo that I only want these dolls, or does this make me like the ultimate supreme cool guy in doll collecting? Do you want these?
Yeah, I want them, of course. Wait, the first question was, do you think it makes you a weirdo that you want these, or does it make you a cool guy?
Does it make me a weirdo that I like outside out of all the dolls I could have, like these are the ones that I want?
Nah, you know why? Because like you can have these like on your desk at work if you're like about that life.
Yeah.
People will just be like, "Oh, is that a wrestling figure?" I don't know. They look cool. Like Makabe has cake on his stomach. Okada has like stacks of money on his stomach. I'll probably get a case. I think they're $30. Why not?
For a case?
6 of them.
Oh, for 6.
I think so.
Yeah. Are they blind boxes? Do you know, or do you know what you're getting?
Well, if you get a case, you get all 6 guaranteed. I don't think there's any chases, as they say in the biz.
Yeah, because I think I want the Makabe one the most, because the Makabe and the cake is just like a perfect pairing. Also, Denzel from Real Nerd Hours asked me to bring back the Instagram of the week. I'm gonna going to stretch that out to the Instagram and or Twitter of the week because I am so slow to be up on new things on either of them. And, that girl Tofu that listens to the show, she tweets that she started retweeting this so much I started following it. It's a Twitter called Mondo Mascots, and all it does is tweet out pictures of Japanese mascots for like various things because Japan seems to have mascots for every single fucking thing in their lives, and I find it like so interesting because they're all so well designed. They're all so amazing. There's no bad ones. You don't ever see one and go, man, that one's horrible looking. They're all just fucking amazing. So if you're into random shit, definitely check out Mondo Mascots because I'm really into that Twitter right now.
What up, Tofu, Vert Gang worldwide. But I will say there was one mascot that had me wondering. I think this mascot had a bulge in their pants and they looked ashamed.
Yeah.
Come on, Mike. That's not fun.
Hey, man, I don't know the basis of these. They seem to have like mascots for everything. Like this is the mascot of eating soup. So, I mean, they have probably covered so much mascot ground that you have to stick out by having one with like a bulge in its pants because it's like the only way it's going to stick out. I guess last. Actually, no. That's it. I'm gonna wrap it up for the week. That's it.
Damn, really? You got one more? It sounds pretty good.
Oh no, I just wanted to last episode. I went pretty hard at the end of the 2-man scramble, and I pissed like friends of mine off, like, and they're no longer my friends because of it. And I just want to say I'm sorry. Like, I get a little carried away on this show because I don't really take anything seriously ever, and I just assume like everybody else that listens to me doesn't take me seriously, saying like one of my claims to fame is that I don't know that peas have always been green and that I may or may not think dragons are real. And so I just think like no one fucking cares about what I say, but they were hurt by my words. So I'm very sorry. I know they're obviously not listening anymore, but you know, maybe they'll get the message.
Let's just be friends, guys. Up next, wrestlers we've done 180s on. Listen to who we've pivoted on in the world of sports entertainment. Please stay tuned.
My family roll thick like syrup and milkshakes. Transporting weight from the south to the Golden State. Swinging figure eights, burning rubber is hypo. In the middle of the intersection, trying to start up a sideshow. My mind going other places cats don't speak on. Serve raw and uncut for you niggas to tweak on. I blick on suckers cause they come out rapid. So imagine what's gonna happen when I catch you in traffic. Children, I'm signing most records in the bag. You, independent like you, no video or radio play. You spent 86 murders since the start of 2002. When niggas bang turfs for the work, not that red or blue. And every single block is a street with niggas holding it down, cause you know we gotta eat. They call me King Sneak, but my real name is Kunta Kinte. B-O-W-E to the end. My nigga told me down the stairs, so I'ma run the streets just like it. My t-shirt, blue jeans and Nikes. I'm white t-shirt, blue jeans and Nikes. Stay strapped with the 4-5, I wish that nigga would try. My nigga told me down the stairs, so I'ma run the streets just like it. T-shirt, blue jeans and Nikes. I'm white t-shirt, blue jeans and Nikes. Stay strapped with the 4-5, I wish that nigga would try. That's so unique and exquisite. Gift the gab, but I spit it. I'm off this Genji, my ninja.
And we're back. Episode 51 of that world champion sound of Virtual Pros podcast. Today's topic, wrestlers we've done 180s on. I think this topic was inspired by, I think Mike and I both have this team.
I think Al is wrong with this, but we'll get into it.
We should have this fucking team. But anyway, we were plotting on doing an episode where we'd go behind the scenes and talk about stories that we've never publicly talked about. We might save that for a Patreon-only episode. But anyway, like I said, this one act kind of inspired this idea of wrestlers we were like initially wrong or right on. And we just kind of like, turned about face and became fans of them or just hated them. I'll lead off. I'm very aware that this is a very cool guy opinion right now, but props where props are due. A team that I've 180'd on is the Usos. When they debuted, I was like, man, these guys sort of suck. Like, they look like a pack of open starburst. And like, they were in like that Kofi Kingston space where like, I guess they were made out to be sort of high flyers, but they couldn't do any cool high flying moves. So they kind of just looked like dorks. It was like the equivalent of like being able to do like only one-handed dunks when like other people are like jumping over cars and shit, like in the dunk contest.
Yeah.
Like, actually, I think at one point they were like rocking like Argyle sweater vests. And I was like, yo, these guys fucking stink. Like, who would root for someone that dressed like an accountant at a golf course? Like, who fucking likes these guys? Like, I always thought they had like watchable matches, but like when that heel turn happened, I was like all fucking in on the Usos. So for those that don't know, like I live in Northern California and like I've been at a lot of house parties in my time with dudes that look like this and are dipped in like exclusively in clothes that they purchased from Foot Locker or Sheik's. And like, trust me, like those dudes are not about that play, which is probably why I'm such a fan, because they're like such realistic figures in my life. I mean, to me at least, like I see these guys all the time. They're generally pretty cool, but man, you don't want to you want to watch your P's and Q's when you're around these guys. So like what I'm trying to say here is I think I'm scared of the Usos, but I like them. It's like a fear respect thing. Like their run this year with the New Day has been like one of the brightest spots to me this year. And I have pretty high expectations with this next program with Gable and Shelton B, the real Shelty B. Man, I'm fucking locked into the penitentiary, brother. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I don't agree. Al has this.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Al has this different viewpoint though, where he's like he can relate to the way these dudes dress now, I guess. But now, like when the Usos first debuted, they were jobbers for like 2 years straight. Like they're like the Ascension for like 2 years, and then at some point WWE ran out of tag teams and they became like the best tag team. And I was like, man, fuck these guys. These guys suck. They talk about how they're fucking so high flying and great, but all they do is fucking the worst super kicks. And they do like the most remedial dives. And it's just like, man, fuck these guys in their pleather pants, like everything about them. And then they finally turned bad. And I was like, finally, they'll be less annoying. And you know, they're less annoying. I don't hate them as much as I did. I still haven't really turned the corner on them. They're a good tag team. They can't really do anything else. I'm glad for them that the bad guy tag team thing worked out. But at the same time, I've noticed in WWE, they're making everybody a bad guy now. Like everybody's like, anytime anybody's good, they're just making them a bad guy now. And it's just, yeah, it's getting kind of tired. But, you know, so I think my hatred for the Usos is just so deep seated. I just can't get into it. But
shame on you, Mike. You're gonna get locked in the penitentiary soon enough, dude. I believe.
I like
it.
you. Do you even like those day one-ish shirts? You think that's cool?
I almost bought one. I won't do it now, but I mean, like, I'm not a fan of that like text fill where it looks like a tribal tattoo. Yeah. But I mean, if they make a cool shirt, I might be in.
I do like your viewpoint of people dressing like that where you're from is That makes it a little more believable for me. I also like that their last name is Uso because it means brother. So they're like the Mario brothers. So I think that's cool. But, okay. So I was going to start off with my hated one, but since it's kind of related to the Usos, I was trying to think of some real deep cuts for this and I kind of pretty much failed, but I do have an honorable mention at the end. But I guess since it relates to the Usos, my first one that I did a 180 on is Kofi Kingston, which, like Al pointed out, I feel like when you're in WWE, some guys, they're lucky and they're like hot shots, like right from the beginning. And some guys, they linger around for a while. And I think you seriously you could linger around for like 2 to 3 years. And then if anything after that and you're still lingering around, you're just going to probably be a bozo forever. Kofi lingered around for at least 5 years. Like it was so long. His claims to fame were that he had weird ways to escape getting eliminated from the Royal Rumble, although he never actually won the Royal Rumble, so it was pointless. And his only other claim to fame was having a pretty good match with Randy Orton on Raw once. And that was like, I remember during some countdown they were doing, and like they like highlighted that, and I was like, man, this is so sad that like your fucking career highlight is that you had one good match on Raw. And he was never like a bad wrestler. He's very athletic. He was really bad when they made him a fake Jamaican when he first came out. That was real awkward. But outside of that, like he's always been like decent wrestler, but he also like feuded with Alberto Del Rio for like 4 years straight, just like shit like that, or just made him lame. He had like no personality. They would stick him with like whatever was the other cool high flyer at the moment and like weird tag teams. And I like after a while I was like, there's no fucking hope for this guy. And they stuck him in the New Day, and even when the New Day started out, it was like this kind of racist, like pastor, like preachy choir gimmick, and I was just like, man, this is the end of Kofi Kingston. But luckily, all those dudes turned it around. Kofi Kingston has a personality now. He's like super funny. It makes his wrestling better because now it's like it makes sense that he has like these boastful moves and stuff. So, I mean, I'm not like gonna buy any Kofi Kingston shirts or anything, but I'm glad it turned around because he's one of those guys where I was like, I'm never gonna like this dude. He's always just gonna be like a bland bozo.
You have to be the only Kofi Kingston fan on earth. Dude.
Really?
That's incredible.
You think so?
Oh,
Everybody
no one
loves
likes
a New Day.
Kingston.
Everybody loves a New Day.
All right, so I was watching Hell in a Cell, right? Explain to me Xavier Woods' gimmick. What's his deal?
He's just a guy who likes having fun, man.
He's an esports gamer, right? I think that's his gimmick.
Yeah.
That's the lamest fucking gimmick. A guy that plays video games? Come on.
But everybody loves the New Day. You can't hate the New Day.
Uso Penitentiary, brother. Next up, I don't have a lot of hate in my heart these days, and I try to gather it for this segment. But I thought I'd at least do a 180 on someone that went the other way. So, I was recently listening to the Spotlight series hosted by friend of the show, The Struggles. And, he recently interviewed Gregory Iron. And, Greg, he talked about how he was such a fan of this guy growing up, like every 80s baby, with the exception of Mike. But now, with all that we know, it'd be like pretty hard to own up to still being a fan of this guy. And, that's Hulk Hogan. I've mentioned it 1,000 times on the show, but, I was a real, say your prayers and eat your vitamins, 4-year-old, had all of his toys, went to every show that he came to, like in Sacramento, and I got wild emotional when that piece of shit Ultimate Warrior took his belt at WrestleMania 6. Fast forward to WrestleMania 18, still a Hulkamaniac in my heart. His match against The Rock where he hulked up and all of Canada got fucking buck. I mean, I know you hate Hulk Hogan, Mike, but that has to be like top 10 WWF moments of all time. Like, don't at me. While I was writing this, like, I was like, man, that was hella good. So I logged onto the network, like relived it, and it still holds up. It's incredible. However, it's later revealed that he's like actually like a shitty racist person. So now I'm no longer his fan. Total 180 on Hulk Hogan. Sorry to do it, but
yeah,
he's an awful person apparently.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, he's been an awful person forever. That thing at WrestleMania was amazing, but it's kind of like it has nothing to do with Hulk Hogan. It has everything to do with everybody else. Like, it has everything to do with like 70,000 people just deciding they're gonna turn and like cheer Hulk Hogan. That was just like that wasn't planned. That just happened to happen. They just got lucky. It has nothing to do with fucking Hulk Hogan.
Look at Pop Truther Mike over here watching best pops of all time and just putting it together. I like it.
I'll be a Pop Truther because it's fucking true, man. It has nothing to do with that shit. They just got fucked. It's just the same thing. Like, I don't think they'll lie about it now, but I don't think they plan to have the Bret Hart Stone Cold double turn happen. Like, I don't think that was a part of the plan. That just happened. And it also happened at WrestleMania. No, was it? Yeah, it was WrestleMania. Yeah, like that shit just happens. And now like it happens with Roman Reigns every week and they just deny that it's happening. So yeah, they could have denied it happened to Hulk Hogan even if they wanted to.
That was in Chicago, right? WrestleMania 13? Yeah, Chicago. Shout out to Chicago. I miss you guys.
So I'll go with my hated one again, another softball, but it is, of course, the person that everybody turned on the last few months, and that's Enzo Amore. This is a guy that I liked from like day one, from the Hulu days of NXT. The first time I saw him, I was like, this guy's fucking amazing. I was like, he's like a fucking Ginzo, DDP. Honorable mention to DDP. He's a guy who fucking hated, he's probably one of my bottom 3 all-time worst, most hated wrestlers. But now I think he's a cool guy because he invented this yoga and it helps a bunch of people out, and that's fucking super cool. So good for you, DDP. But I hated you as a wrestler. But Enzo, I was like, man, I would have loved DDP if he was Italian. But I was like, this guy's fucking amazing. Then they teamed up with Big Cass and they started their little shtick with SAWFT. And even back then, I was like, these guys are going to be like the hugest fucking tag team ever once they get to the WWE. And it took like a couple years. And I assumed within that couple years they'd get better at wrestling, but that never really happened. But I was like, it doesn't matter, man. These catchphrases they have are great. This guy has so much charisma. And then like little by little, week by week, they could tell like they had like more and more script writers writing their stuff. and it started just getting longer and more corny. And then, as everybody knows, over like the past couple months, they just made this guy like, first they tried to make him to be like the biggest pussy in wrestling ever and just like lose all the time. And then they just made him into like the hugest douchebag ever. And now he's both. And, they always say like they're punishing people and like they make them do this stuff to punish them. And I guess it's true, but it's still really hard for me to believe they punish people by making them humiliate themselves in front of millions of people while they're making money for that company. Like, it'd be weird if you went to your job and they were mad at you, so they just like made you hold a sandwich board outside your job in like a fucking cow outfit or something like that. So it's real weird that they do that in like a publicly traded company. But I guess they do. And yeah, I don't see how anybody could fucking like this guy. Even now, you know, I think the whole deal is you're supposed to hate him, but it's not working. Like, I just want this guy to go away forever. And it really breaks my heart because I was just like so into those dudes when they first came out.
I totally agree, but that story that came out where, like, I guess he was nonstop bragging to people that he knew the weekend is like one of my favorite little like tidbits about pro wrestling. Like, who brags about that? That's so weird.
There's also a good thread a stripper had about him being a piece of shit, which, you know, could be true or could be not, but it was very amazing when I was on Twitter.
I think I saw that one. Yeah. Enzo, what a guy. Last up, Tetsuya Naito, someone that became a total fan of after like not giving one shit about him. As I've stated before, I got back in New Japan as recently as Wrestle Kingdom 8. So my first impressions of Tetsuya Naito were like, why the fuck does this guy look like Robert Gibson from Rock and Roll Express? Like, it's uncanny. Like, Robert Gibson's a white man. He's Japanese, but they look alike. It's so weird. He went by the Stardust Genius, which sounds like some fucking Korean MMO shit. And I was like, just not buying what this guy was selling. Like, he got his ass whipped by AJ Styles later on. And I was like, good. He fucking stinks. But then, later on that year, he comes back unshaven, and he does like this incredible thing where he just doesn't give a shit about anything. And I don't know why it took pro wrestling like 100 years to come up with this character, but here we are. And like, once I saw it, I was like, man, I'm all fucking in, dude. So like, he then starts to assemble a dream stable, and then he comes out with some of the best merch the Graps game has ever seen. Admittedly, this year has been kind of dry, but like they recently dropped a purple colorway of the LIJ shirt, and it's sold out. That shirt's so fucking good. And here we are, and Tetsuya Naito is currently my favorite wrestler in the entire world. I buy all of their merchandise, and I did the calculations the other day about how much I've spent, and it's frankly embarrassing. I was like genuinely excited when he won the title last year. And I'll be genuinely excited if he wins it at Wrestle Kingdom 12. Like, right now, he's that dude for me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I was thinking about it the other day, and even if, like, they kept the gimmick and everything, like, everything that he's been doing, if the person who told him how to add, like, volume to his hair never came around, and he just had still, like, that flat, matted down, shitty Robert Gibson hair, it would have not worked out. Like, it would have never fucking gelled together. So, whoever was like, yo, you need to like do this to your hair to make it look not shitty, he's a real hero of LIJ.
You're not wrong, dude. Like, once he has that like feathered hair and he puts on that backwards like, trucker cap where he looks like a Zoomies cashier, that's when it was like, oh man, this is the best dude in the universe.
Okay, my last one, like I said, I was trying to think of a deep cut, and I think this one might surprise. I don't know if it surprised people. It'll surprise nerds because they're nerds, but it took me a really long time to turn the corner on this guy, and it's Samoa Joe. I never liked this dude. I super never liked him when he was in TNA for like 20 years. And it's real petty because the main reason I never liked him is because I hate his pants. Like, I really fucking hate his pants. I think he looks like a fucking bozo because they look like swim trunks. That same show where I saw Ox Baker, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, I guess, is so old he can't wear like real wrestling pants anymore, so he just wears swim trunks when he wrestles, and that's what fucking Samoa Joe looks like. I know there's supposed to be like some tough guy Thai boxing pants or some shit, but nope, they just look like swim trunks. And the one time they try to take him out of the swim trunks in TNA is when they try to make like they put face paint on him, and then he looked like an even bigger asshole. And like, so he came to to NXT, and I still wasn't completely sold on him. I was like, whatever. He's decent. And then, like, you know, he had like a few pretty good matches. He had a couple pretty brutal matches with Finn Balor. And I was like, okay, I'm getting in this guy. And for whatever reason, I think his promos are, I don't want to say they're better than they've ever been, but I think they stick out a lot better in WWE because they're like realistic. And he actually sounds like he's fucking pissed off and angry and old and just grumpy. And I think it works a lot better in WWE where like everybody has these ridiculously stupid promos. So I think that works better. And he's like, it's made me appreciate his old work, not so much his TNA work, but like previous to that. And like, you know, he's wrestled Kabashi. He's wrestled some pretty big people that I can never really get into because, I always fucking hated the guy, but now I really like him. And, I think he's like one of the brightest spots at WWE currently.
I've always been lukewarm on Samoa Joe, but I've also recently warmed up to him. His match with Brock was really good, but he really needs to get a new theme song because it just
I thought you liked that.
Like a cascade of farts.
I thought you were one of the people that liked that song.
Come on, that's never had. That song stinks, dude. Like his OG one where it sounds like Sega Genesis music is better than his current theme song.
I mean, his TNA theme song is amazing, but that's a Godzilla song. But like, this is like a, you know, like a sound alike of the Godzilla song, and it's the worst sound alike. But also, yeah, my honorable mention, because I don't completely love this guy yet, but Rod Strong is probably right there with DDP in my bottom 3 most hated wrestlers of all time. I'd be DDP, Rod Strong, and Low Key. And, yeah, like fucking, I always like, there's never anything they could ever do to make me like this fucking guy. I hate him so fucking much. But all they had to do was have him tell this weird story, nonchalantly about how his mom shot his dad. And I was just like, what the fuck? Because it was like, if you guys have never seen that vignette where he tells this story, it's just like, he says it and they just move on. It's like, he just says it and they move on and they talk about something else. And it's just like, did they just say his mom shot his dad? And like, it's just like a part of, and I guess it's true. Rod Strong doesn't look like a dude who lived in a trailer park and had a mom who shot his dad. Like, it seems like that would be a better story for Baron Corbin. But, just because they let him tell that story, and I know that now, I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like, I respect you, Rod Strong, but I still don't like you. But I like you a lot more than I did before you joined NXT.
I don't mean a fantasy book, but he's gonna turn on AOP, right? At War Games.
Oh, I have no idea. I actually haven't watched NXT in a couple weeks, but, yeah, I have no idea.
All right, delete this. Up next, Ayako Hamada, Mariko Yoshida, Killshot, Matsunaga, Mike Bailey. Please stay tuned.
Okay, we're back here on Virtual Pros episode 51 with the old Virtual Pros mixtape. If you guys are new listeners, what we do is we each pick 2 matches. We talk about them, we go over them. We put these matches on a mixtape or a playlist on YouTube. You could just find that by searching Virtual Pros mixtape on YouTube or just subscribing to our YouTube channel at VRTL Pros. Or it might be Virtual Pros, I can't remember. But, yeah, you just find it, subscribe to it so you never forget it. You know when we add these matches. So you can follow along at home. I think Al's gonna go first. So go on, Al.
Before we start, I will say that I feel like the mixtape has gotten a little more momentum. Like, we get tweeted at more and more about our comments, and so it took 51 episodes, but I think this might be like a favorite now amongst people. So thanks for just watching with us. The first match of the night, Ayako Hamada versus Mariko Yoshida. ARSION, I think it's called ARSION, Dump Weed. I'll just call it ARSION, 421, 2001. I previously posted a Mariko Yoshida versus Ayako Hamada match on a previous episode, but that match was like 2 minutes long. I told you that I'd redo this, and here we are. A tidbit for you guys. ARSION was started by current Stardom president Rasi Ogawa. ARSION's tagline, hyper-visual fighting. He's really into the visuals. As an aside, but sort of related, I guess, if you have Stardom World, they uploaded his birthday party on there.
Oh, man.
And it's worth watching. This match starts off with some pretty sensual mat work, possibly the most sensual mat work we've ever seen here on the world famous Vrtl mixtape. The bonus here is that both of these women, they have latex costumes, and you can hear their outfits squeak when rubbed up on each other, which should really get the ASMR strokers really pumped for this match. On one of the latest Wrestling Observer Radio episodes, Dave, my friend Dave, he talked about how Charlotte has mastered a lot of mannerisms that her dad has popularized. And that's actually the case here with Grand Hamada's kid. Ayako has the headbutt. She has the tornado DDT. She has it all down pat. Later on in the match, Ayako, she hits what has to be the cleanest top rope Asai moonsault in history. Like, she hits Mariko and then lands on her feet. It's incredible. Mariko Yoshida, she seems like a pretty stern person. There's a part where she's really just duffing Hamada square in the face with punches, and that's not very nice. Later on, she hits her invented air raid crash on Ayako Hamada a couple times, which makes me wonder how Ayako's still walking in 2017. As a whole, like, this match is pretty snug if you're into that. Overall, though, I thought this match was pretty fucking great. It went about 16, 17 minutes, I believe. I highly suggest it. Mike, what'd you think?
Yeah, I had a couple of the same notes as Al. First off so I still pronounce it ARSION. I don't care if that's completely wrong, because that's not even spelled. That's just how it's always been said in my head. So at the very end of this video is when the ARSION logo comes on, because they're showing the tournament brackets. And
yeah,
I mean, I think I've seen it before, but I was like, oh shit, the tagline is hyper visual fighting. That is fucking amazing. That is such an amazing tagline. I just want to put that on a shirt, just a shirt that just says hyper visual fighting. I'm sure there's
I agree.
some red bubble asshole that's going to steal that, but whatever. You can fuck yourself. But I disagree with Al. I actually wrote down lots of stretching in the match, but I don't find this erotic. I don't know why you thought it was sensual. I thought it was I thought it was actually not sensual at all, and more like athletic than sensual. Not the ironic athletic that we use either. Maybe I'll have to go back and watch again while I'm in bed and see if it's more erotic in a more romantic setting. I don't know what this fucking move is, and I was hoping Al noted it, because I was like, man, that's cool as hell. But Yoshida puts Hamada in this fucking crazy submission. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Where she has like her leg over like the back of her neck, and I don't know what it's called. It kind of looked like the Koji clutch that Sami Zayn does, but I don't know the proper term for it. But I think like that would end a fight in UFC for fucking
man,
sure.
That is like the coolest submission. I'm sure it has a name, but somebody needs to bring that back. Somebody in like so many modern times. I don't know if these ladies wrestle. Hamada still does. I don't know if Yoshida does. But yeah, they need to bring this move back, because it's fucking sweet. I also wrote down I like the slapping and punching part, because they're slapping each other for real, and then Yoshida just duffs her like with a fucking closed fist punch. And it's like, you could tell she held back, but not that much. Like, she still fucking made her feel it. And that was pretty great. And it's really weird.
She was throwing punches like Vader, but like for real Vader. It was really fucking scary. It was cool, but not cool. I don't know.
Overall, I mean, I like this match. I don't know if I liked it as much as Al. I think it had a very Fire Pro pace to it, where it was like weak, medium, strong in a row. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it just made me think, like, I don't watch I've obviously, since we started the show, I've watched a lot more Japanese women's wrestling than I ever have in my fucking life. And, it is crazy that like, that there are people now that are really into modern American women's wrestling that are like obsessive with it, that have never touched this type of wrestling before. They've never touched this early 2000s, especially 80s and 90s Japanese women's wrestling. And it's like, you could put this match against any like American women's match that happened in the last 5 years. And this is like 10 times better than any match. And I don't even think this is the best match. Like, this is probably like in the bottom rung of like Japanese women's wrestling matches we watched on this show. And, yes, I don't even know, like, good for them that they're doing it and it's like a big movement now, but like, I don't even know why they fucking bother. Like, I know like no one's ever gonna train this hard again just to fucking wrestle in front of a bunch of people and not make that much money. But, I don't know, man. We have different medicines now. You could do something. We've evolved as people. I think you gotta put a little more into it. I'm sure. And like you said, all these women are still walking. None of them are in fucking wheelchairs or anything. None of them have CTE. Like they're doing something right. So I don't know. But guys, if you're out there and you're one of these weirdos that's like super obsessed with Bailey and all these people and you think all these are great matches, just watch these matches. They're like so much better. Yeah, like I don't know. I'm completely converted. Like I don't know how you could watch women's wrestling and not be into this shit because it's so much more violent and so much more believable and better.
By the way, I must pimp that AJW documentary that Kid Cash linked. We added it on the playlist. You should watch it before it gets taken down. But there's so many incredible scenes. One of which where Bull Nakano is just lounging on her bed with a Louis Vuitton duffel bag on one side, playing Super Mario World on her bed. Manami Toyota just plotting her ascension to the top. It's about an hour long, but it's incredible. It might be on the same level as Gaia Girls. Really good. Recommended.
That's another
watch.
thing. You have no credentials to talk about women's wrestling if you've never seen Gaia Girls. And I think there's a lot of people out there who have never seen that, and it's just like, I work at a movie theater that's shown Gaia Girls, so you have no fucking excuse. Like you'd fucking find this, assholes. Anyways, so my first match is Mitsuhiro Matsunaga versus the actual Japanese Kendo Nagasaki, not the white man. This is from old school Big Japan Wrestling from 1996, and this is the infamous Piranha match. I mostly picked this match because the other match I picked is a half an hour long, and I didn't want to pick another long-ass match, so I wanted to find something around the 5-10 minute range. And this is a clipped match at about 5 minutes. And also because at one point, this was like one of my like holy grail tapes to finally get. Like there was something about it where I like never pulled the trigger on buying it because it was like, I think like one of the only versions. Well, first, I think the only version is this clip version. I don't know. I'm sure there's some like super ultra nerds that have like the full match somewhere, but it was just like back then when you traded tapes, like you had to get like 2 or 3 bangers on one tape. You couldn't just get a whole tape for one match. So I waited and waited and waited and finally got this match. And I was like, man, that's it. This is fucking 5 minutes. This is it. But you know, this brought me back. It also brought me back because in the comment section of this YouTube video, there's somebody that comments, man, I love death matches, but this has gone too far. What do they think of next? And it's like, when is the last time you watched a fucking death match if you think this has gone too far? Because let me tell you something. In 2017, it's gone a lot farther. But, you know, at the same time, back then when I saw this match, I did not question anything. I was just like, these are two crazy motherfuckers and they're fighting with a bunch of piranhas in a tank and, they're insane. I mean, they look like piranhas. The water's murky. They could be fake. I don't know if they're piranhas. I assume they are because when Matsunaga gets out of the tank, he's fucked up. But I don't know, man. Do you think these are really piranhas?
I'll get to it later.
But yeah, so this is like a quick clip match. It's basically a bunch of shitty punches as you would expect from these guys. Although Matsunaga, I don't know if this is the first time he's on the mixtape, but he's one of my all-time favorites. I love this fucking guy. I love his whole style of being this bleached-haired Japanese man that's very stern. And, he doesn't look like he takes any shit at all. And, he does the lamest moves. But, it doesn't matter because he'll fucking go through a circus net of barbed wire like it's nothing. So, and he owns a steakhouse. So that's pretty cool. But, so yeah, basically there's a huge tank of piranhas in the middle of the ring. By huge, I mean like a 50 to 100 gallon tank, not like a kiddie pool full of them or anything. And, they are, teasing, trying to stick their heads and their hands in this fucking tank. And finally it ends with Kendo Nagasaki throwing Matsunaga into the tank and throwing a barbed wire board over the tank. This is when one of the most interesting parts of the match actually happens, where some second or young boy just whips a chair right at Kendo Nagasaki's head. Like it's just like a fucking Nerf ball. He just throws a full fucking chair at his head and it bonks him in the head, and it's just like nothing. But yeah, then after a while they let Matsunaga out of the tank, and I will admit he's much more bloodier than he was going into it. I don't know if this is real. I've never figured it out. I don't care either way. It's really not essential anymore since it's not the late 90s anymore, but at the time this was a big thrill to watch. But what did you think, Al?
Okay, so I didn't mean to do this thing backwards, but this match for real is 18 minutes long. And woof, if that's the case, I don't want to see the long version of this. It fucking sounds awful. For all my merch boys out there, I might put a Fire Deadstock wing tee on sale soon. It's a little too big on me. It's a spike nail death match. It's an XL. I don't eat that much rice, so it might be up for sale soon. It was a pretty cool visual to see Matsunaga's blood spread across this fish tank. Also, Kendo Nagasaki, he almost kills Matsunaga with a pile driver here. I think that might be the most ghoulish part of this entire clip. Other than that, like, this match kind of did nothing for me.
So you had,
back in the day,
did you see this previously?
Yeah, I did. So, like, other than that, like, it did nothing for me. Like, someone spoiled this match for me, like, a long time ago when this came out. And they let me know that, piranhas don't really fuck with humans like that. And, I later read that on a yearly basis, more people eat piranhas than the other way around. So shout out to all my fucking fish truthers out there. I don't think those were real piranhas, man. But lastly, shout out to young boy Tajiri out there as a second, rocking those blue swim shorts ringside. I see you. Up next is Penta L0M versus Mike Bailey. Pro Wrestling World Cup Finals. This is What Culture Pro Wrestling 8/26/2017. The only things I know about Speedball Mike Bailey is that he wrestles for DDT and he has some sort of visa issue or some shit. Like, he comes out and I was like, oh, okay, I know one more thing about him. And he looks like Eric Bischoff's character in WCW versus NW Revenge with the gi. I was like, he looks exactly like him in fucking like all of his Nintendo 64 glory. He comes out kicking and punching people's hands, which is like cool, I guess. But like the allure of Taekwondo, like sort of died when I was a kid, when like some guy entered the UFC and like Taekwondo was like listed as a skill set and then he got fucking washed. And I was like, yeah, it makes sense. Like they teach this like in strip malls. Like how effective is this fighting system? Like I saw it happen firsthand where like he just got beat the fuck up. Anyway, for as anti like Lucha Underground as I am, I always thought Pentagon was like a pretty cool looking guy. Like, he has one of the coolest gang signs in wrestling, and like the 2 times I've seen him live, in Chicago and in God's country of Daly City, California, like, he showed out with like at least 13 Canadian destroyers. So like, I've always been down with him. Well, speaking of dumb moves, I guess, there's a part in the match where, Mike Bailey, he does a shooting star style backflip. He lands on his feet, and like, he does this for the sole purpose of like getting kicked in the stomach. And like, I had a real Jim Cornette moment here because like, there was no way he was going to land an offensive move here. Like, it was just so contrived. It just took me out of the match. And I was like, man, that's right. I am 33. I can be kind of grumpy. Later on in the match, it was revealed by the commentators that, this match wasn't even for the finals. And immediately, as a tournament lover, I lose like at least half interest here because like, what's the point? Like, and also, like, at this point, this match is just kind of slogging along. I don't know. Like, I know people are high on Mike Bailey, and, like, I know he does, like, cool stuff, but, like, this match wasn't for me. Like, this match was a match. Both teams played hard, but I don't know.
So why'd you pick this, then? Is there any reason?
Because Mike Bailey gets a lot of love on the internet, and I want to talk about something, like, I'm familiar with before I talk that shit. Like, Kento Miyahara? Like, we watched that shit, and I was like,
yeah, I have similar feelings about Mike Bailey. I've seen him like 1 or 2 times. I remember the first time I saw him was when we first started this podcast, and a bunch of people were like, "Oh, you need to watch PWG," and I was like, "I've seen that and I hate it. I don't ever want to watch it again." And like, I finally gave it another chance, And now I watch it on a pretty regular basis because now I understand the deal about it. It's still not my favorite thing ever, but I understand it. But the first, I don't know what PWG it was, but it was from earlier, maybe 2015 or 2016. I think 2015, but he's on it. And I swear to God, the whole time I thought he was a comedy wrestler. I was just like, is this little, like, you know, the skinny dude who looks like a child. He wore a gi back then. I think his gear was even more goofy. And I was like, oh, I think he's like a comedy wrestler. This is pretty funny. I like this gimmick. Cause he's like trying to beat people up, but but then yeah, I checked the internet and it turns out he's not a comedy wrestler. I don't think he is. Like, I'm still not sure. I don't think he's a comedy wrestler, but, yeah, like I'm sorry. Like, I know a lot of people like him. I can't take this dude seriously, man. Also, as Al pointed out, his, specialty is Taekwondo. And we have all seen from the movie Best of the Best that Taekwondo can be violent, but as Al said, most of the time it's taught in strip malls and 9-year-olds. It's not like, even if I was a professional in Taekwondo, I would just say something else. It's wrestling. Just make something up. Make up your own martial art, because saying Taekwondo is like whatever. Also, the last thing that I don't like about this dude is that, he wears kick pads with no shoes, and it makes me feel real uncomfortable. I don't know if that's like a personal thing or what, but it really makes me feel like bad inside of my stomach. I don't know if this is a normal thing for Taekwondo practitioners, but it really bothers me. So I wish he would stop.
I'm with you, Mike. He goes to the urinal with no shoes on. That's what makes me freaked out about it.
Yeah, dude, it's not a good look. At the same time though, I will say he does this, moonsault double knee that's fucking sick. So I'll give him that. That's a pretty sick move. Yeah. Outside of that, this match was decent. I think Pentagon has, he is not even coming close in our year-end awards for winning my Wrestler of the Year or anything. But I do think he deserves some award as the smartest wrestler of the year, because all this dude does is wrestle all over the fucking country and all over Mexico and make so much money. And this dude does not give a fuck about winning or losing. He wins this match, spoiler alert, but, he usually does not give a fuck. The 2 times I've seen him live, he's lost in pretty mediocre matches. He doesn't give a shit about losing, because you want to know why? Because he looks cool as fuck, and no one fucking cares if he loses. I've seen that dude sell $30,000 worth of merch in front of my eyes, because all he has is 75 different t-shirt designs. I seen him in a fucking mediocre match with Matt Riddle, and it lasted 8 minutes, and he just collected about 20 grand in merch. And he just went home and and so I think this dude is he's having probably the best year ever. So all props to Pentagon. You're not the best wrestler in the world of 2017, but you may be the smartest. Yeah, this match is decent, but I don't think it's anything you got to go out of your way. Also give props to the WCPW, What Culture Pro Wrestling Federation, whatever the fuck you call the thing. Those dudes have a YouTube channel that I find sometimes interesting, but mostly annoying. So I was expecting them to have the worst commentary team on earth, but the commentary actually I thought was pretty good. So I was not expecting that, but they have pretty good commentary. So props to you. Okay. So my last match is, kind of a very topical match lately, and it is from Lucha Underground, Ultima Lucha Trace, which is happening right now. This is the first or second part because it was broken into 4 episodes. This is Dante Fox, aka AR Fox, versus Killshot in a 2 out of 3 falls Hell of War match. So I chose this for a couple of reasons. First, because this match is being called one of the most brutal matches in history. More correctly, I think either Ryan Alvarez or Dave Meltzer pointed out, it's not really the most brutal match in history, but it's probably the most brutal match to ever be on national television. And I may agree with that. And I'm always curious on Al's opinions on Lucha Underground. And if the rumors are true, there may not be a Lucha Underground season 4. So this is possibly the last time we will ever talk about Lucha Underground, unless there's a Lucha Underground retrospective that we do at some point. But, and a lot of people are saying this is the best match in the history of Lucha Underground. So I figured I'd get Al's opinions on this. All in all, I honestly, as long and as great and as much talked about as this match is, I don't have that many notes on it. It is a pure fucking stunt show. If I saw this in real life, I would have came my pants and my head would have exploded at the same time, because they're doing so much crazy shit in this fucking match. It's just bonkers, balls to the wall, half an hour of just the craziest fucking moves. Of course, the commentary is horrible. If you've ever watched Lucha Underground, at one point, Vampiro says, one of them's about to suplex the other one. And Vampiro says, this is the move that ended Dynamite Kid's career. This is a total lie. What ended Dynamite Kid's career was habitual steroid and drug abuse. And it had nothing to do with fucking moves. I mean, it sort of had stuff to do with moves in the ring, but he was doing it to himself from those snap suplexes. It wasn't because he was getting suplexed all the time. There's no fucking jobber in WWF suplexing Dynamite Kid super hard on the ground. But anyways, you just expect that kind of top-notch commentary from Lucha Underground at this point. I also feel, so basically, this match is 2 out of 3 falls. It starts with a first blood match, and it goes in a no DQ match. And the last fall is basically a trumped up, like, kind of ambulance match type thing going. And, so there's a lot of glass play in this match with panes of glass. And I don't know, man. I feel like they used the wrong glass. Like, I think there's wrestler glass, cause I've seen glass pane matches before, and they must use thinner glasses, man, cause these guys are getting fucked the fuck up from this glass. This is like the realest glass ever used in a wrestling match. I think somebody played a horrible trick on these dudes. The first, like, kill shot's the first one who takes it, and his back is like immediately fucking ground beef, like just immediately fucked. And then later on, AR Fox gets like a cradle driver or something, like on the shards of glass, and again, ground beef immediately. And it's like, I have never seen glass like react. Again, Lucha Underground's edited, so maybe they edited it, so it was like they waited until it looked that bad, but it's fucking gross. And there's a part in the third fall where a piece of AR Fox's flesh just falls off of his body onto a stretcher, and they fucking zoom in on it like a bunch of ghouls. And that is fucking gross, man. Like, it takes a lot to make me feel gross, but that did it. I was just like, man, I mean, good for them for taking advantage of the moment. Cause, you know, I searched for years trying to find a good copy of seeing Vader get his eyeball popped out, and like, any fucking time I would get it on tape, it would be too blurry to see. So good for them for being like, we gotta get this perfect. So this is a very violent, fun match, and, you know, it will go down. I don't know if it'll go down as the best match ever in Lucha Underground history, but it's probably definitely easily in the top 3. I don't agree that it's the most violent match in history or anything like that. It's very violent for national television, that's for sure. But, what did you think, Al?
All right. To start off, if you had to pick, because I guess they Rochambeau'd for this, maybe. I don't know. If you had to pick, would you rather land on a barbed wire board or onto this glass?
Dude, I think, I don't know, in my mind before this match, I was like, I think glass looks more impressive than it hurts. But now after seeing this match, I don't fucking know, man. Like, I think barbed wire board is like, it's like a 50-50. You're either gonna get stuck in it and be fucked, or you're gonna get off because you didn't get caught by the barbs. But I think it's a 50-50. But this glass kind of scares me now. Like I said, I think there's wrestler glass, so I guess I would go take the chance with the barbed wire board.
I'd still probably go glass. I agree with everything you said. I think they use that glass where it's supposed to just like cube up as opposed to like just breaking in shards. But still, like, both of these dudes' backs are like fucked up. So either way, I think it would be like an awful experience, but I think I go glass. That barbed wire, ooh, it looked really,
that was another
really
thing. Yeah,
good.
I think they used the wrong barbed. They used like the serious barbed wire that you like keep criminals out of fucking junkyards and shit.
That's what I was gonna say, man. They used that fucking prison razor wire or some shit because AR Fox was not doing good. Yeah, you mentioned it before, but that part where Dante Fox's flesh is just chilling on the stretcher, that's some really, really bad stuff. I didn't like it at all. But yeah, like you alluded to, Matt Stryker, again and again, continues to be the worst thing about watching these things. He pronounces penchant, and I confirmed that, like, that word has, like, French etymology, but, like, that just sums up Matt Stryker in a fucking nutshell, where he's just, like, unnecessarily extra all the fucking time. Just say penchant, dude! Why'd you do that? I just, like, started hating this match after I heard that shit. I've also aired my grief about this in a previous episode, but if Lucha Underground, like, takes place in a fucking mythical temple, go all the way with it. Don't mention fucking Killer Kowalski to flex, my dude. Like, I get that you watch wrestling, but if you want to keep the illusion up, like, you can't flex to, like, internet dudes that you watch wrestling. So, like, the 3 matches that I've seen, like, I have to give credit where credit's due. Like, they've always been super over the top. They've been really entertaining. But, like, I don't have any desire to rewatch them again. Maybe the Stardom one, because Io Shirai, what up? But, like, I don't know. Matt Striker is fucking unbearable, dude. But, like, as a whole, like, there's, like, incredible stuff in this match. Like, it's worth watching, but I don't think I'll ever have, like, the desire to watch it again.
I also will say a thing that Al pointed out about Lucha Underground that I never picked up on. I think it might have been during the Io Shirai match, is that they do, I don't know if it's post-production, but they make the slaps, like the leg slaps when they do kicks and shit. They, like, pump up the sound so it's super loud on the broadcast. And ever since Al pointed that out, man, it fucking bugs me so much. I'm just like, man, this sounds stupid now.
Yeah, it sounds like every single kick is like a fucking kendo stick shot. And I'm like, man, I guess, like, I mean, the production looks great, but, like, yeah, that also kind of takes me out of the element as well.
Do you agree with that this is one of the most violent matches ever to be aired on television?
Yeah, probably, man. That shot where the fucking Flash is just chilling on the stretcher is like some wild ass shit. I will say that, like, there might be more of a chance for me to keep up, but I still don't get El Rey, and I pay like $160 for the cable bill, so I don't know what kind of fucking package I have to get to watch Lucha Underground.
If Al's living on the West Coast and still doesn't get El Rey, that's pretty bad.
Anyway, that was episode 51 of the Virtual Pros podcast. Hit us on Instagram and Twitter at VRTL Pros. Hit us on iTunes. Leave a review. Hit us on SoundCloud. Hit that heart. You know I like it. And if you haven't already, download that bloody disgusting app. Have all 51 episodes in the palm of your hands. Mike and I talked about it earlier today, but maybe November we're gonna have to start chin checking some motherfuckers up about some merch. Maybe. We'll see. But Mike, any last words?
Follow that Twitter at VRTL Pros. We're rounding around 1,000, and I am going to kill myself soon if we don't get 1,000 followers on Twitter. So save my life.
I kind of want to bet on it, because, like, for all the work we do and for all the notoriety I think we have, we still haven't hit that 1K on Twitter. And, like, man, our jokes have been so good lately. I don't get it, dude. I don't get Twitter, man. What do we got to do? That was it. Episode 52 in 2 weeks. Thanks.